My name is Louis Papa. I'm a professor of clinical medicine at the University of Rochester Medical Center. Right. So when individuals have health problems and there are sudden changes in temperature, it can impact them. They don't have the same um, responses or flexibility to changes in the environment. So sometimes it can impact them negatively. The medications can do it, the condition can do it. And usually they're made aware of that by the physician and try to stay in a more ambient type of environment, especially when it gets, bitterly cold or it gets, very hot and humid. It's interesting you say that because, very small children, like infants, are very much like uh, the geriatric population. They don't have the same, bandwidth to adjust to those situations. And depending on their situation, a small infant cannot express if they're in pain or uncomfortable. And sometimes older folks with cognitive issues can't do that either. So there has to be kind of this vigilance and an understanding that you do for them what you would do for yourself, even though they may not be able to express that. So, I mean, good health is the same for everybody across the board. You maintain a good healthy diet, you maintain exercise regimen, you maintain adequate sleep cycle, adequate sleep pattern, proper amount of sleeps. 7 to 9 hours is what everybody needs. Um, you avoid things that can affect your ability to know when you're in trouble. So, drugs and alcohol are things that can do that. You want to stay well hydrated. If you have medical issues, you take your medications. And if you know there's situations where your health can be impaired because of changes in temperature, you need to try to make the environment as ambient as possible so that you don't feel those changes. And you make sure you're not alone. Not so much for these type of things. More when we see people end up in the hospital, it's for the real extremes of the weather. So really, really cold weather where things like frostbite and hypothermia can have an effect, and then really, really hot weather where things like heat stroke and heat exhaustion and dehydration can have an effect. So usually in those kind of extremes, usually in these, more narrow band kind of temperature changes, it's not as much an issue. The bigger issue is the season rather than the climate.
Wait 1 second. Maybe I missed it at the beginning, but Dr. Papa, did you address the common misconception that these snaps in weather can cause a cold?
No, yeah, I'd be happy to. That is one of the many medical myths that cold weather or not wearing a hat or a coat can make you sick. Um, that is guilt by association, not by causation. When it gets cold, we all gather indoors. And when we gather indoors, it gives, viruses and bacteria that have a billion year head start on us, the circumstance and the opportunity to infect us. So naturally, people think, it's because it's cold outside or because I didn't wear my jacket. It really has nothing to do with it. The virus just needs you to be in proximity so that they can infect you. And that happens more in the winter because it's cold and we gather and there's more holidays and gatherings. So it's more guilt by association.
So the rapid temperature change, getting warm quickly, like we had some warm days
Mhm.
earlier this week, isn't
Right.
a
Oh, where
factor.
people, I see what you're saying. So where people think, oh my God, these swings in temperature must be very bad for you. There's no proof to that. The biggest issue is when there's wide swings in temperature, it's the same situation. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful out. I'm going to go outside and talk to my neighbors and go, go shopping or go to the vineyards, and they interact with a wider group of people. So it's easier for them to get sick. And then when it gets cold again, they clam back up with their family indoors and they spread it. So that's the misconception that the sways in temperature increase your ability to get sick. It's really the sways in temperature that change your interaction with other humans that does that.
Thanks, Leah. Do you know when this might air?
Any other questions? All right,
Do you
thank
know
you
when
so
this
much.
might air, Leah? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
You
Dr.
guys have a great
Papa.
weekend.